We're going to begin with Mike. And we're actually honored to have Mike with us today. He's the Project Management Institute's Vice President for Academic and Educational Programs. He provides executive oversight of those functions at PMI. But he's also the Chief Operating Officer of the PMI Educational Foundation. You know, when we're studying the PMBOK and things like that, we tend to forget the great work the PMI does in its educational foundation. For example, they recently awarded a grant of $428,900 to Discover E. It's a grant to integrate project management into the Future City competition for U.S. middle schools. Yes, that was $428,900. Prior to joining PMI, Michael served as president of the Art Institute of Philadelphia, an organization I actually know very well, and the Art Institute of Raleigh. We actually need more artists in our lives. So please welcome Michael DePrisco.
Thank you, Roger. 2 points of clarification that I want to make. One, I'm not an artist, just so we're clear there. I very much appreciate and value artists, but I'm not an artist, in case anybody was wondering. I took care of the administrative aspects of the college. And second, I can't take, while I appreciate the kind words about the curriculum product, and the management of it, I can't take credit for that. I was the executive sponsor, and certainly it was a fantastic experience to be a part of it, but certainly the credit goes to VJ and Carla. And essentially my role was to tell them yes or okay. Really, there were no other options as I was talking to them and they needed things. They would say, Mike, we need this, Mike, we need that, and the only two acceptable responses, I think, were okay and yes, keep going. So, but I'm excited to be here, and full disclosure, I have an 18-year-old son who is getting ready to graduate from high school in just a few weeks. We live in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. And he is going to be attending UMass Amherst in the fall. So excited that he's going to be coming up here and pursuing his higher education. He liked BU, but you know, it's a little costly to go to school. Yeah, just a little costly. So as Roger said, I want to talk a little bit about PMI and expand on some of the things that Roger talked about, particularly as it relates to the profession of project management, and share with you some of the work that we're doing in the academic market or the academic area of the organization that I think fits very well with today's theme, and I think aligns with where I think the industry's going and where education's going in general, particularly as it relates to project management. I will say that, as Roger said, prior to coming to PMI just over 2 years ago, I worked in higher education for almost 20 years in various roles, administrative capacities, and so I'm very familiar with you know, what happens in higher education, some of the challenges that's happening within higher education right now, particularly around the issue of employability. We know that colleges more than ever are being held to very high standards nowadays to demonstrate the value that they're providing to students who invest a large sum of money into their education, and I expect that will continue. But as Roger indicated, where we stand in relationship to project management, education, project management as an industry, we're in a very solid place. Now we know two things are certain in business, right? One is there will continue to be uncertainty. And then two is the pace of change is accelerating. it's accelerating. And for those of you that work in practice, work in industry, you're probably familiar with that. And by the way, just a quick show of hands, how many of you in the room are credentialed PMP? Okay, a few. And for those of you that are streaming, you can raise your hand too, and we'll count you. Okay. So we know the workplace is becoming more complex. It's becoming more globalized, and it's becoming more competitive. So let's talk a little bit more and expand on something that Roger mentioned in his opening remarks related to this thing called the talent gap. At PMI, we invest a great deal of resources in research, both in market research as well as academic research, because we want to understand what's happening around the world and the impact that can have on our profession, on our stakeholders, whether it be practitioners, organizations that hire practitioners, academic institutions that train and educate future practitioners. So we invest a lot of resources into understanding what's happening. And as Roger says, it's a very good story. And based on research that we conducted with the Anderson Economic Group, we are forecasting as many as 16 million project management roles globally by 2020. There's a number of key factors that's driving that growth. Expanding job markets is certainly one of them. In fact, project management will account for about $6.6 trillion globally, $6.6 trillion globally, primarily across 7 major industries. Examples: manufacturing, business services, finance, oil, gas, construction, information services, stuff that you're probably very familiar with. With that high demand comes higher salaries. So certainly what you're going to see is competitive salaries for project managers. And PMI publishes a salary survey, and I would encourage you to look for that on our website, and you can learn a little bit more about what our practitioners are experiencing from a salary standpoint around the world and in different regions of the world. We're seeing growing industries, particularly in the area of business services, healthcare, manufacturing, construction, oil and gas continue to remain robust and strong. And finally, we're seeing strong growth internationally. China and India, it's forecasted that they will account for about 10 million of those project management roles that you see up there by 2020. So 10 million that we anticipate coming from China and India. So pretty amazing stuff. So with that good news, of course, comes a challenge for organizations, but really, I like to think of it as an opportunity. Organizations are challenged right now with finding the talent necessary to fill these critical roles that will be needed over the next 5 to 10 years. In some cases, it's a labor shortage. There's simply just not enough people to fill the positions that are available in a given country or region. I know they have that problem in Brazil. I was speaking in Brazil recently, and that's one of their big problems. The second challenge is it's a skills gap. So there's enough people, but they don't have the right skills that employers are looking for to help drive competitive advantage, to help drive the value they need to be successful. So PMI spends a lot of time advocating for project and program management with organizations and working with organizations that recognize that this is a challenge that needs to be overcome. And we work with them to help them develop talent development programs and strategies that will allow them to attract, identify, hire, retain, develop talent. We also work with them to support them with products that will help them develop the capabilities necessary to ensure that they can bring good best practice project program management to their organizations. Our position at PMI is that all change happens through projects and programs. If you think about that for a minute and think about the organizations that you work for, you have experience with, anytime an organization is going through transformational change, it's usually around a project or program. And for organizations that haven't built the capacity or capability with good project management skills, people, processes, etc., they experience a higher rate of failure than those organizations that adopt and embrace those good best industry practices in project and program management. So now we go down to the last point and the impact of this talent gap as it relates to our practitioners. We spend a lot of time, a lot of research on talking to organizations to better understand what they're looking for from project managers. As the global association, we represent for project management, we represent over 600,000 credential holders, almost 500,000 members located in almost every country in the world. So we want to understand from organizations, from executives, from C-suite, what is it that they need from project managers to ensure that they have the capabilities that's going to allow them to contribute to delivering value to their organizations. And what we found, and Roger alluded to this earlier, and this isn't going to be the first time you hear it today, what we found through that research is that employers are looking for project managers who can demonstrate competence, who can demonstrate skills in a lot of different areas. And PMI has developed a new framework, professional development framework called the Talent Triangle, where we've identified 3 core domain areas where project managers need to focus their development. It's good that you have technical skills. That's a must-have, but it's equally important that you as project managers have skills in the behavioral domain, leadership, for example, communication, negotiation, influence, all those kinds of things, and also the strategic and business management. And what I mean when I talk about business and strategic management is project managers need to learn to speak the language of the C-suite. If you want to be relevant to the C-suite, if you want project management to be viewed as a key driver of strategy in your organization, you have to be able to translate what you do and demonstrate how your projects align to the strategy of the organization, to the people at the top who are making the decisions about what projects to do, where to invest money, and so forth and so on. So you're going to see a lot more as it relates to the Talent Triangle over the next several hours. I just wanted to lay that foundation there. When we're talking about shifting gears a little bit, let's move into education and what we're seeing in industry as it relates to education and the talent gap and things of that nature. And I think you might have this slide as a handout, VJ? Yeah. Okay. Everyone has it? Okay, that would be fantastic. So you might want to pull that out to reference it. I'll be quick because you can certainly read it, but I thought it was an interesting infographic that kind of illustrates or underscores the importance of one of the challenges that we're seeing in industry right now between the growing disconnect between what executives are saying is important and what entry-level employees are experiencing when they graduate and get out into the work world. CEOs tell us all the time that what keeps them up at night is talent. Where they're going to get it, is it the right talent, how do I keep it, how do I develop it, and things of that nature. But if you look, many organizations do not back up or walk the talk, if you will, as it relates to investing in talent development programs, training programs, and the like. Graduates, 2014, We're very optimistic about the types of positions they would find, the types of training that would be provided by their employer, the salaries that they would earn, and so forth. And the reality is that it's just not at the same level that these graduates are expecting. And there's, a number of reasons for that. But I think one of the important points to pull out as it relates to this disconnect is industry and academia need to do a better job of working together, of partnering, so that both academia and industry understand what the needs are and can align their respective practices, education, programs to meet those needs. If academia is producing graduates that employers are saying don't have the requisite skills to come into my organization, hit the ground running, and contribute right away, that's a significant disconnect that needs to be fixed and addressed. And there's good examples of organizations working with academic institutions, but it's not enough. And I think that what we're doing in project management and what we're trying to accomplish with our curriculum product, I think will help stimulate better relationships between the academic and industry as it relates to ensuring that students are learning those skills, those competencies necessary to be successful. A lot going on in the macro environment that will impact talent, that will impact where jobs are located. Think about how you learn today and how different it is today than it was 10, 15, 20 years. I anticipate that as technology continues to accelerate, we're going to see more access, more availability, and how that impacts how we learn, where we learn, what we learn, how we hire people, how we develop people who don't have to be located physically in a building. They could be located thousands of miles away and still produce value for an organization. All of that are factors that come into play here when we're talking about the profession. So we need to focus on talent and employability. If you look at, if you read the Chronicle of Higher Education or any other types of academic or higher education journals, you'll see a lot of information in there about colleges needing to do more to prepare students for the next generation and the needs of the marketplace. In Europe, for example, the problem in Europe, they have 14 million people between the ages of 15 and 24 that are neither employed nor educated. They have about 3 million jobs that cannot be filled because they don't have people with the right skills. So you can see that this is a growing concern, not only in academia, but in industry, and we need solutions. From an employability standpoint, and the growth of project management education, I think Roger gave you some of those statistics about how we've seen project management education grow over the past 10, 15 years. Certainly not enough. We hope that through the work of our team, particularly on this product, that we're going to, it's going to act as a stimulant to encourage more and more institutions to offer project management. But certainly we believe we're well positioned, PM degree programs are well positioned to help academic institutions fill that market need that we talked about and ensure that students get the skills necessary for sustained employment in the 21st century. What we do at PMI in the academic area is we're really focused on building the pipeline for the future, and doing that through knowledge creation and dissemination of project management research and the practical application of that knowledge to help inform the profession. We also advocate for the teaching of project management, and we do so through a focus on 4 key areas: knowledge creation, outreach, education, global accreditation. And I'm going to briefly touch on each of these. We do more than offer a sponsored research grant program. In our knowledge creation and dissemination area, we are focused on a variety of research activities, again, designed to stimulate the creation of new knowledge, the dissemination of that knowledge, the application of that knowledge. Our job, and Carla will tell you this, she's the manager of that program, we cannot forget that we need to be focused on grooming that next generation of professors and faculty that are going to be working in colleges and universities and educating the next generation of project managers. So we do a lot of work, events, workshops, and so forth, where we bring practitioners and academics together, again, to help learn from one another. Practice informs research, research informs practice. We do a lot of outreach, working with over 280 some odd chapters around the world, where we work with our volunteers, our members, and in their local communities to help them connect with colleges and universities and make them aware of all the resources that we have available. And that serves as a great opportunity for our chapter members, our leaders, to get connected locally to colleges and universities and help us in our effort at promoting all the programs and services that we offer. Global accreditation, we're the only project management organization that accredits project management degree programs at the bachelor, master's, and doctoral degree levels. The program here at BU is a accredited program, and we're very proud of the work that we do, and it really fits and aligns well with what we're trying to accomplish with respect to advancing the teaching of project management, but not only advancing it, ensuring that it's of high quality, high rigor, and it's preparing students to be successful when they enter the marketplace. And last but not least, and you're going to hear a lot more about this today, we have a focus on education, and our big initiative was the project management curriculum. We have been talking about this for several years, and we are so pleased and thankful that we have been able to bring this curriculum product to market. We're excited about it. We believe it's going to provide a lot of benefits for faculty, for students, for employers, for the profession as a whole. And I'm sure that as you go through the morning and into this afternoon, be sure to check out all the resources that we have here. But this is certainly a key piece of what we're trying to accomplish at PMI as we work toward advancing the profession and helping to tackle the challenges that we're seeing in the market. Thank you.
Okay. Mike has kindly agreed to answer questions. There's a whole debate going on, by the way, online. We always debate as well whether we put it on the screen, but it's way too distracting for the speakers. But it's interesting. Are there any questions? Yeah. Introduce yourself.
Yes. Am I on? Is it on? Yes. My name's Heather Hayduke. I work in the pharmaceutical industry, and I'm a vice president of a PMO. I am not PMP certified, so that's an important distinction. I think you're spot on with all three of your things: the technical skills, the leadership, and the business management and understanding. I mean, spot on, and I'm constantly looking for that in PMs. My question for you is, how will that translate into the test? Because people spend so much time studying for the test. I will eventually be, but it seems to be, from what I know, extremely technical. So it seems to emphasize memorizing charts and stuff is what I've heard, when the people skills and the management understanding is so critical.
No, that's a good question. So you're talking about the PMP exam.
Yes, yeah. Which I'm really encouraging everyone from my group to sit for.
Yeah.
But I want to make sure the people stuff is so critical and the management understanding.
Absolutely. The behavioral pieces, the leadership pieces with communication and influence and stakeholder management is certainly key. We at PMI have recently rolled out this new framework, and we are going to our existing PMPs, and we're saying, starting in 2016, when you begin the process of renewing your certification, you're going to need to start demonstrating that you have a minimum number of PDUs in each area of that triangle. Okay, so that's number one. So right now, the way it works, PMPs develop based on their own interest, which is fine. But we're saying, based on the research, based on what we're hearing from employers, we have to put some minimum requirements in place because it's critically important for the credential to remain relevant, to remain credible. We need to ensure that our PMPs are developing in those three areas because we know that's what employers are looking for, and that's what's going to allow you as a PMP to remain relevant and deliver value to your organization. So that will translate back into the exam, of course, as it relates to demonstrating experience, demonstrating technical capability, and so forth and so on as we move down the road into 2016 and 17.
I just would like to say one more thing on that, which I think would be really relevant.
Just a minute.
You can always refer back to the textbooks. So all that memorization and stuff, once you've got the concepts and you understand it from going through courses and things, you could always refer back. But that people skill and that understanding of where senior management's coming from is so important.
Agree.
So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on. Thank you very much, Mike.